Hey, my dear guitar champion. Today I want to check out with you some really cool and new insights on pick slanting. Certain things that not so many people are talking about and also thinking about. And for me, this is also a really new kind of case and scenario, but it helped me a lot already. For example, with some arpeggio licks where I was struggling with for years. It is super interesting stuff. I don't want to hide this from you. So this video is from the ZEN of Speedpicking, my big online masterclass about speed picking, where besides explanation tutorials like this one, also have more than 50 exercises, 10 etudes, 4 workouts, and a bulletproof practice plan for everybody who doesn't have much time to practice. And also constant updates when there are new things discovered in the beautiful world of speed picking. So check the link in the description box for more information about the ZEN of Speedpicking, and don't miss the chance to get the ZEN of Sweeping, my big online masterclass about sweeping, 50% off when you get the ZEN of Speedpicking. Alright, now let's get into today's video. Here we go. Hey guitar champion, today I want to talk with you about a deeper topic of pick slanting. As we all know, rotation of your forearm means pick slanting. Rotating in this direction is the downward pick slanting, rotating in that direction is the upward pick slant. We need this one, the upward pick slant, when we end on a string with a downstroke. We need this one, the downward pick slant, when we end on the string with an upstroke. But one thing where not so many people are talking about is the amount of rotation that we need, because this can differ in certain situations. And I want to talk about these kind of situations today, and I want to share some stuff that some other educators call themselves a secret, which is basically not too much. All right, let's get into it. So for example, I want to bring up first a really prominent problem in my practice routine right now, which are arpeggios. Like for example, the glass prison arpeggios from Dream Theater or the Too Many Notes arpeggios from Steve Morse. You probably already have seen it. My biggest issue, or my biggest problem in this kind of scenario is the inside switching from the B string going to the G string going back to the B string. And here the problem is the amount of rotation. When I have too much rotation starting on the B string, what easily can happen is that I don't play the G string at all, that I miss it when I do the upstroke. So I really have to take care that I don't rotate too quickly. And I only rotate together with the upstroke here on the G string. But when I'm rotating too little, this can happen. That I accidentally hit the G string together with the B string. And not like this. But exaggerating the rotational movement costs in the end a lot of time. It's really hard to play like this really fast. So I have to find the right balance in between the amount of rotation. I still need the rotation to have the tip of the pick free in the air, but the amount is also important. So here I'm focusing to have a little bit less upward pick slant rotation on the G string, on the B string, to have enough rotation when going from the G string back to the B string, where I also don't try to go too much in the upward pick slant, because I need the downward pick slanting again when I'm on the E string. Also have to face a similar problem in a different scenario like this. For example, let's compare the, how I call it, Paul Gilbert lick with a regular 3-note per string on 2-string pattern. Here on the Paul Gilbert lick, we want to go back to the lower string as quickly as possible, because we only have one note on the G string in this case. This is why I need more rotation, so that the tip of the pick is already above the string where I want to land. I not only use the rotation to have the tip of the pick free in the air and not being stuck between the string, but also to have it already in the right position. Then when we want to stay on the next string, I need a little bit less rotation because I want to continue on that string and want to go into, for example, the next pick slant direction when I want to continue with the 3-note per string pattern. Of course, when I stick to upward pick slanting, I can again move from neutral position to rotational position on the last note before we are executing the string change. Have you seen it? Because I have seen it. You probably too. Yes, I did the downward pick slant in the middle of the string where I don't need it. Watch again closely. You see, I start with a downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, and then I go upstroke, downstroke, upstroke. And I do there a short downward pick slant and continue on the string. I don't change the string, so the downward pick slant or the pick slant at all there is unnecessary. It's unnecessary movement. It's unnecessary waste of energy. Something that I don't want. Super interesting to see. Now I have two ways how to compensate with that. One way is to just say, okay, fuck it. I do this little movement and I go back to the upward pick slant afterwards, so doesn't matter. Or the second one is, no, I can fix that. I can work on that and I can have the full control over my picking. These kind of things happen so often and so easily when you are not aware of what you're doing. This is why it's so important to always film and analyze yourself. And with, for example, the reset method that I showed you, it's super easy to fix these kind of things. So I will focus on that more in the future. And it also showcases that you don't need much upward pick slanting after the 0-degree angle. This is often enough to have the pick in a wide angle to go from one string to the next string. This was now outside picking. Of course, we have to make the same thoughts with the opposite of it, inside picking. Like, for example, when I do the reversed 𝙗𝙀 lick. To a descending 3-note per string 2-string pattern. Again, we need more rotation and less rotation. But again, balance is here the most important key. Or in the other way around, this can happen. And again, another problem is the speed. When I want to go to the ascending string and I rotate like this, you see how far away with the tip of the pick I am now regarding or compared to the G string. I have to do this amount of motion and movement to go back to the G string. So we can boil that down to 4 core essential movements. Number 1 is going to the higher string and staying on the next string. Here we need a little bit of less rotation. Then number 2 is going back to the string where we're coming from. Here we need a little bit more rotation to have the tip of the pick again above the string where we want to go back to. Then we have the same thing in reverse. First, staying on the string where we are landing, in this case the lower string, and going back to the string where we're coming from, which requires again a little bit more rotation. How can we practice this? I highly recommend to do this with a lot of awareness, focus, and consciousness. And basically first to practice these 4 movements. And as a quick side note, the amount of rotation can depend on how big and how thick your pick is and how deep you go with your pick into the string. So I highly recommend to just experiment with your pick, with your playing style, and to see how much do I have to rotate when I go from one string to the next string and staying on that string, and also when I go from one string to the next string and back to the string where I come from or to a different string, because this changes the whole situation, the whole scenario. I recommend to check it out and experiment with it a little bit. Alright, I'm now going to deep dive a little bit more into this kind of concept of how much do we have to rotate, because I think that's super interesting and super useful for us. Never thought about that too much, but nowadays, especially with those arpeggios, I realized, oh, this is important for our pick slanting skill. That not only the pick slanting matters, but also the amount of rotation.